Hey everyone, I'll be with you in a moment. Uno momento, por favor. How's it going, everyone? It's been a little while. I think last time we live streamed, it got pretty crazy. To say the least. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about life choices this stream, and what's happening. Is it Thursday night? I thought it was Wednesday night. Oh my god, it's Thursday night. That's how my week's going. Okay, yeah, it's Thursday night apparently. Fair enough. Just pour myself a glass here. Yeah, we'll get to that, don't worry. It's actually a little bit chilly here. I'm going to do something unthinkable and do something unthinkable on Twitch. I think I might actually put some clothes on. Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Right, 1 second. Well, I'm actually really blind without my glasses these days. I can't even read the screen. Aha, there we go. Cool, let me just announce the live stream to some degree. Come join the stream over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/FoxSource. We are going to talk about the future. Amazing. Cool. Great. So, aside from sitting here and drinking wine, and I've also got myself some cheese to eat, I thought, the reason I thought we'd do the live stream is my situation has changed. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit because it's a reasonably significant decision and I made it quite quickly, and it's going to have a really big impact on the rest of my life. So yeah, this is the brie. Check this out. Poor man's brie. And I've got I don't know if you have these abroad, but I love these things. Yeah, so essentially, I've been sort of, I guess you'd say, full-time on the game now for a year and a half. And I'm actually just going to move... Oh, I can't because... Damn. And don't mind the crinkling, it's just me opening my crackers. And about a good sort of 3-ish months of that went in the bin because I got really sick. But nevertheless, a year and a half has passed. And I was starting to get a bit panicky over the progress the game was making. They're so good. As well as, you know, the global economy collapsing, which is a slight problem. So what I thought I'd do is I would pull some strings in the industry, because when I left full-time employment, I had a lot of kudos. I was pretty well known where I was at. Had a lot of integrity, and considering it was a really big company that I worked in, I think my reach as an engineer was actually quite vast. So I thought maybe there's enough goodwill there. I have enough reach to get a foot back in the door and ask for a kind of obscene amount of money, and that's exactly what I did. So I went through the process there, got the job, and everything was looking good. I was going to make loads of money. I was just going to financially secure myself and go back to doing the 9 to 5. Now, my first day was on Monday this week. And as you might have noticed, I haven't been working. Now, why haven't you been working, Liam? You've secured this job for an obscene amount of money. It is Thursday, chat. Yeah, I thought it was Wednesday. It's been kind of a crazy week for me, which is what we're talking about now. So on Monday, yeah, so I secured this job for a lot of money when money is my main concern in life right now. It was for a hell of a lot of money. Why am I not doing that job? Well, I went in on Monday with the best of intentions. And really, I think a lot of things happened quite quickly that rapidly made me realize that that isn't actually what I want to do, and I think I'd actually rather be really poor than go back to work in a big corporate environment like that. So there are a bunch of things that happened. So when I got there, and it's worth saying that it has nothing to do with the people I was going to be working with or anything like that. Everyone was really, just in case anyone watches this and you're thinking, why didn't Liam come back and work with us? Was it something to do with us? That's not the case at all. Everyone seemed really great. Everyone was, people made me feel super welcome. Everyone seemed quite excited to have me coming on board, to be honest. And that made me feel, it feels good when other people have heard of you and are looking forward to what you're going to bring to the team and all of that. But yeah, so the first thing that annoyed me was I couldn't choose that you get a MacBook, right, if you're a developer at this company, which is great. That's exactly what you want. But you couldn't choose a MacBook that was useful. I had to have this tiny little MacBook with a tiny little screen. And this might sound silly to you guys, but you got to think, if you're a developer, you spend your whole life working on this tiny little screen. And the tools that we use to build software just are much easier and more pleasant to work with on a decent sized laptop. So you're not squinting at some tiny little thing. They're complex tools that have a lot of features. So that kind of annoyed me a bit. But I thought, it's fine. I'll just get used to it. It's not such a big deal. It's just a laptop. Who cares? And then nothing on my laptop would work. I couldn't get anything installed. And that kind of annoyed me a bit. And then my boss tried to show me a whole bunch of stuff and give me access to the kind of work that we're going to be doing. But none of that had been set up. And this isn't all new to me. This is just when you join a company, these stupid things happen. It's all fine. None of this really had much to do with why I didn't join, but it just kind of... That's how it was when I used to work there. So it's like nothing's changed. And then comes the main problem, right? So I'm not able to really do anything. The only thing I can do is go and do these courses on why diversity is important in the workplace, and just I don't know, that stuff, I just find it so boring because it doesn't have anything to do with me. Diversity for me, I don't care what color, gender, size, shape, planet you're from, means nothing to me. I literally am interested in people. I'm not interested in their physical attributes. You know what I mean? It's so meaningless to me. It just annoys me that I even have to. Anyway, so that was the only thing I could do. And then I went into my into a meeting. So they have these meetings quite frequently. I'm not going to say what kind of meetings they're called because I don't want to give away the company or anything like that, but have these meetings, and essentially it proceeded to be 30 minutes of just getting absolutely machine gunned with sort of fake, safe, corporate language. And as I sort of something you need to understand, when it's a giant company that's financially successful, the people that end up right at the very top are psychopaths. Like, they have a big smile, they use really safe language, they don't make anyone feel uncomfortable, but you kind of have to be a psychopath to succeed at that level because they are sharks and they stab each other in the back at the first sign possible. They just want influence. It's all about influence, power, progression for these guys. And I was just sat there watching one of them just scattergunning this wall of safe bullshit language out, and it took me right back to when I left, and something inside me just snapped, and I just thought, is this who you are? Are you the kind of person that sits there and listens to these psychopaths talking in this way that's just so false and so far removed from the reality? It was just, I just knew at that moment, like, that was it. My career was over. I couldn't do it. So I finished out the day a bit dejected. I thought, don't do anything rash. But I just got home and I was like, I actually can't do this. So I rang who was my new boss and just said, yeah, I'm not coming in tomorrow. And he was like, obviously gobsmacked. Yeah, so I just didn't. And like it's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, in this life, you can just not do things, but not doing things has consequences. And it was a very strange position for me to be in, where I can still survive, though be it not brilliantly, on how the game's doing. So I was kind of in a position where I could actually throw something away that a lot of people would kind of kill for, that opportunity, but just because it didn't sit right with me. And I think it was like, it's one of those like defining moments, right? I think everyone has like defining moments in their life, and I think that is going to turn out to be quite a big one in mine. So yeah, so no career, no job. Cheese and crackers. Cheers, everybody. But, so where does that leave us? Well, excuse me. It leaves you, lucky lot, in quite a great position, really. Because the only thing between me and dying of starvation is putting out good updates. So yeah, I mean, I get like before when I went full time, I always knew in my heart that I had that career to go back to if I really wanted to, because I'd worked so hard and made enough connections that I'd have one foot in the door, you know? But I've just like hydrogen bombed that career. So now we've took the seatbelt off. There is no backup plan. This is it. Build a good game or starve to death. Those are the options. It's quite motivating. With all of that said, I mean, I've been thinking a lot lately, leading up to potentially going back to work. And this week, in the aftermath of not going back, or going back and packing it in on the first day, which is, yeah, I guess that's a very strange thing to do, about what makes me happy and what I want to be doing. And I mean, I've always said this, like, I really, really, really enjoy the times when I'm sat coding the game and regularly pushing updates out and you guys see it. So I've actually had like a blast over the last sort of 3 weeks, not this week included, but the 3 weeks prior when we went full hack mode, and I just started basically just throwing stuff out there and seeing what landed, right? What you liked, what you didn't, with all the quick updates, the quick hacky changes. Cena. So the cat's climbing up the blinds. I really enjoy that, and that's something that I'm going to pursue. So there's yeah, I like sitting and working on stuff, and chat's just picking on me. And the cat is trying to eat my cheese. No, Xena, no. No, Xena, not the wine. Out of the wine, out of the cheese. Look at this little girl. Look at this. This is what I'm dealing with. What are you doing? You being a bugger? Just trying to get to the cheese. Yeah, so I know that that the most fulfilled I've ever felt is when I'm pushing out updates, and you guys are getting the updates quickly, and you're going, thank you, you have added some stuff to the game that is cool. Because I think you guys all want to really play a good game, right? And I want to build a good game. So we both want the same thing, really. We're striving towards the same goal. You want to experience a sweet game. I want to create a sweet game. So we have that in common. And I think that's why you guys are all still here and why I'm still here. So the future and what happens now. There's one more update that I want to hack in on live, and that's the arenas that I talked about. But I think that will be the last update of any significance that live receives for a little while, because something that I realized is when updates are regularly going out to live, you guys respond a lot better. The community comes back to life because everyone feels like they're on a moving train, right? The project has momentum, things are changing, things are happening, and it's all, we're living in the now. The problem we have is the PTR, which is a superior version of the game. engineering-wise, but is a drastically inferior version of the game-wise, because most of the game isn't implemented. So my plan is, I'm going to push the arenas out. I'm going to do the arenas and push those out, so you guys can all murder each other. Just so that's in, because I said I was going to do that. So I'm gonna do that. And then I think the best way to move forwards is to get the PTR as close to live, feature-wise, as possible, as quickly as possible. Because when we can switch to using the PTR's codebase, then as I update the game, it can get rolled out live rapidly again, and we can have the kind of updates we had in the last 3 weeks, but just constantly. That would just be how it works. So I think that's what's going to happen. In the short term, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to just give you guys a little peek of what's going on with the PTR, so you can have a look. I don't know if you guys will be able to read this, but you'll notice up the top left here, there's a lot of things that say monster and NPC. That's because I'm right on the cusp of starting to implement. Well, I am implementing NPCs again now from scratch, and I can also show you something else cool really quickly. I say cool. I might do some coding streams again, because one of the things I found is when I get stressed, I kind of shut down and I shut the world off. But some of the healthiest states the project has been in has been when I've been regularly live streaming, because I think it allows us to sort of, we become like a group thing rather than a just I'm off in the background doing who knows what, right? So that's something I need to try and sort out. A friend of mine's like a media marketing guy, and he's trying to convince me to do like a YouTube channel, but I don't know about that. I don't know much about YouTube or being like a internet personality. I don't know if I'm made of the right stuff for that. Just pulling this out. Here we go. Cool. So this is the maths that I worked on earlier this week, right? So yeah, the sprint streams are 100% coming back. I'll get into that in a little bit. So yeah, basically what I've done is I've taken the stat distribution on live as a base and worked from that, because actually live isn't super imbalanced. It's just not scaled very well. Like the tiers of scaling don't work very well, and a lot of people just skip huge areas because why wouldn't you? But with that in mind, I started working on, yeah, you don't buy new hoodies when you're when you're in dire straits. Yeah, so essentially I've gone through and I've calculated all of how the stat point distribution works and all of that, and then I've gone into the code, and what I'm about to show you in the code is it actually working, and all the stat generation being automatic and scaling correctly, which is pretty neat. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to do with time to kill, depending on like what tier of armor you're wearing versus the monster, calculating monster health based on the damage I expect players to be doing at any given tier, and all of this. It's all quite useful. And yeah, and then again, like a load of maths around how I've worked out how much health players should have at any given level relative to how long it would take a monster to kill them if they weren't regenerating health and if you had no way of mitigating damage. And this will probably tune this a lot on the PTR, because I think that monsters are going to be a little bit too strong to start with. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, where were we? So let me fire up my local server and I'll take you through some of the stuff that you guys might not have seen, because the PTR is very, very different from live. We haven't got monsters or anything yet, but we've got a lot of changes that I can show you visually, because now I have commands to actually set my own level and all of this kind of thing. Hello? There we go. Just need one moment. Fire this up. Nothing will happen to your characters when the PTR goes live. I've thought long and hard about it, and I'll just leave everything as it is. His question, so I was talking to chat there, he said, can you settle a question? What happens to our alts when PTR becomes a live game? So the answer to that is nothing. And the reason he's asking that question will become clear in a moment. So this is a PTR. I am a knight. So you'll notice I have red up the top right. That's because each class has a different resource now. Knights are going to have rage, or, you know, pick a word that represents getting angry. Mages and shamans will have mana, and rangers will have focus. And rage, I know my rage bar is full at the moment, however it won't be. Rage will build with certain abilities that you use will give you rage. Hitting monsters will give you rage, and being hit will give you rage. And depending on the weapon you're using, and if you're wearing a shield, the rage generated from either hitting a monster or being hit will differ. So if you're wearing a sword and a shield, being hit might give you 5 rage, and hitting something might give you 5 rage. However, if you're just wearing a two-handed axe, hitting something slowly might give you 15 rage, just for example, per hit. So yeah, it's going to generate differently, depending on what you're wearing. And focus for rangers, the idea for rangers will be to build up their focus as high as they can, and then they'll have essentially an attack that consumes all of their focus and does uber damage relative to the focus that they've built up. So going back to what's explicitly different that I can show you right now, is if firstly there's no items, there's no inventory, there's no equipment, all of that code's gone, there's no monsters, all of that code's gone. We really are starting back from core principles here, and the first core principle is how does the maths of your game work. So what I've done is I have implemented the stat model that we came up with, where you essentially have attack power, spell power, resilience, and resistance. And these are the only 4 stats that matter in terms of the maths of the game. Now, what the hell is attack power, spell power, resilience, and resistance, right? So, attack power is like physical damage with physical weapons. So, your bows, your swords, your clubs. Spell power is magical damage with magical weapons, so your staves, your rods, magic attacks. Resilience is your defense, so reducing the incoming damage that you're taking from physical weapons. And resistance is your defense, which reduces your incoming damage from magical sources. So these 4 stats are the cumulative sum of a bunch of other things. So now, in terms of offensive stats, if we go to a chat saying that resilience and resistance sounds really close to one another. Well, I can show you something really quickly that's going to make that easier. The PTR client is multi-language, so I can switch to Portuguese, and you'll see that all of the UI screens are in that language. So if resilience and resistance sound really close to one another, perhaps, you know, we'll use different terms in different languages. I need to change that back because I can't read my own UI. And that translation is done by players, actually, via Discord. There is a GitHub page that I'll show you really quickly. Since we're on the just glancing over the topic of translation, there is a public GitHub page, which is this, called Client Localization. And it has all of the translations that people have submitted. And you can submit to this GitHub. And it has a guide on how it all works and how to translate things yourself. Yeah, so there's all kinds of translations coming in. We've got French and Finnish, I guess. Spanish, German. There's all kinds of stuff going. But yeah, that's a community effort. So big hand to, as a community, give thanks to the people who have put a lot of time and effort into doing those translations and continue to do so as I add new words and phrases to the game. Anyway, back on topic. So let's go through attack power. So one of the fundamental principles that I wanted to change about the game is currently in Mirage, 1 point of something doesn't always mean something. So a good example of that is, I think it's like, what is it, 4 points of defense reduces your incoming damage by 1? Something to that effect, anyway. Which is really unsatisfying. 5 defense is 1 reduction. Yeah, it's just awful. So I wanted to get away from that. And as well, like, if you train up your sword fighting, you don't immediately see that in the damage that you're dealing with swords, right? You might need to get 5 or 6 points in sword fighting before you start to go, okay, I'm doing a little bit more damage now. Which I don't think that's very nice. I don't think it's very rewarding. So this time around, I'm trying very hard to have the ethos that 1 point of anything should be an immediate visual difference that you feel. So 1 more attack on a weapon, you should see that. You should hit for 1 more damage. 1 more strength on a piece of equipment, you should see that. You should now hit for 1 more damage, right? Same with defense, right? If you have 1 more defense, you should take 1 less point of damage, and it should be a direct 1-to-1 ratio between your points and the stuff that's happening when you fight stuff. So with that in mind, attack power is the attack value of your weapon plus your class's primary stat off of your gear. So in this case, I'm a knight, so my primary stat on equipment is strength. So 60 plus 150 is not 210, because I also get a point of damage for every level that I have. So I'm level 100, so we go 60 attack plus 150 strength plus 100 of my level. I get a free strength for my level. gives me 310. So there's my attack power. Now, my attack power might be 310, but monsters will have defense. So obviously the number you're going to see is going to be less, but it will be a direct ratio. So the defense will be not a percentage reduction, it will be a direct reduction. So you will still see if you get one more attack or one more sword fighting, the damage you're dealing will go up by 1. Which is great. Resilience and resistance work the same way. However, defense doesn't exist anymore. You just have armor. So your equipment, your only defensive stat is armor. So you see my resilience here is 250, and that is because I have 150 armor and I am level 100. Now, it's important to say that this doesn't yet include masteries. So currently what you think of as skills. So in the game at the moment, there are 4 skills, right? You've got melee, distance, I think it's called, which is kind of dumb. Magic and defense. And they're your 4 skills. So skills are changing into masteries. And masteries are specific to the types of items and equipment that you're using. So if I go to the masteries tab here, you'll see that we now have quite a lot of masteries. So instead of just having melee, we actually have sword, club, axe, polearm, spear, dagger. Instead of just having distance, we've got crossbow and bow, shurikens. There's a lot going on here. And you'll notice magic doesn't exist. So magic actually is now its own section as well. So there are now 4 magics. You've got holy magic, elemental magic, chaos magic, and nature magic. And what will happen, essentially, is your attack power. This will look at what kind of weapon you're holding, and it will apply the correct mastery to it. So your attack power will then be, so say if I was holding a sword and I had 50 sword, I would actually have 360 attack power, because I want your masteries to exactly give you 1 more point of damage for each level of them as well, right? And you'll notice that one of the masteries is shield, and that is really important, because the way that I'm trying to balance this is if you're not wearing a shield, your shield mastery won't apply. So in the current game, you have a generic defense skill. That's going away completely. And if you're not wearing a shield, all of your defense will come from your equipment. So you're going to want to wear equipment with a bit more defense on it, possibly. Now, there's quite a lot that's changing here, so I'm just going to rattle off some facts so that you guys kind of get a better idea of what the hell is going on. So, firstly, every class will have the same health at every level going forwards. Secondly, every class can wear every type of equipment. Thirdly, the type of equipment that you wear will always give you your primary stat. Now, what I mean by that is I am a knight, so my primary stat is strength. The reason I need a primary stat that isn't directly mapped to a mastery is I want the equipment to be able to contribute to the attack power regardless of what kind of weapon I'm using, right? So we need like a mastery neutral stat. So for knights, it's strength. For rangers, it's dexterity, I think. And for mages, it is intellect. Now, if I have a piece of medium armor and I am a knight, for me, that piece of medium armor might show that it gives me 10 strength. If I go to trade that with a mage and they look at it, for them it will show that it has 10 intellect, you see? Because the primary stat becomes completely class neutral. And the reason for this is as follows. What I'm doing is I am balancing equipment so that light equipment has high attack stats, very poor armor. I'm balancing medium equipment so it has equal attack stats and armor, and heavy equipment so it has low attack stats and high armor. And in this way, it's my hope that because all of the classes have the same base health, you guys will be able to choose the role that you want to fulfill and how risky you want your playstyle to be. If you want to just do maximum DPS and you don't care if you get one shot because you're so good at the game and you live next to the server so you've got 1 ms latency, you can just wear all light equipment and you'll be consistently hitting a lot harder than everyone else. If you're not sure which way you want to go, you can just wear all medium equipment. If you just want to go full tank, the obvious route is to wear all heavy equipment for you. So you'll be mixing and matching sets depending on what you want. So it could be that your instinct is to, I'm just going to go and get all of the light equipment. And then you actually go and play it a little bit and you go, I'm getting spanked a little bit too hard. Maybe what I'll do is I'll swap out one piece of my equipment for heavy equipment, and that gives me just enough armor that I'm not quite getting punished as much. Or maybe, you know, a heavy piece and one medium piece, right? So equipment then becomes, you can fine-tune the stats of your character, right? At that point. Now, these tabs, these statistics tabs here, vocation shows me the stats I'm getting just on my character without any equipment. Equipment shows me the stats I'm getting just from my equipment, and effective shows me the total stats. Now with that in mind, I can go to equipment here, and I actually have a few commands on the PTR that you guys are going to have access to, and this is going to really allow us to test this theory and test the maths and see how things play out. So, at the moment I'm level 100, I can just go / level 10. And I'm now level 10. So when we're testing things on the PTR, you're going to be able to choose whatever level you want to be, so you can test whatever content you want to test. And we can test the balance very easily like that. Our power levels become dynamic. So now if I come on here, you can see my equipment stats have changed because the server is currently generating you fake equipment that you can't see, and it's just giving you the stats that a full set would have given you. So now I have an item level of 10, I have 6 attack, 15 strength, 15 armor. Now, notice that says 15 strength and 15 armor. At the top here, it says the armor class is medium. So what the server's done is it's gone, you're level 10, we're going to give you level 10 gear, and we're going to give you level 10 medium gear. So I can now run around, and if I found some level 10 monsters, I could wallop them, and I could test how's the balance with medium gear at level 10 if you're wearing all level 10 gear. Great, right? Now, there's another command here. I can do / armor, and let's go to light armor. And it will say armor classification set to light. So now if I go and look at my stats, you see my armor class is light. and the server has given me the stats I would have if I was wearing all light gear. So before, I had 15 strength and 15 armor. Now, I have 20 strength and 10 armor. So you can see, with light gear, you essentially, 2/3 of your stats are in offensive, 1/3 is in armor. With medium gear, it's half and half. And now if I go /armor heavy, with heavy armor, 1/3 of your stats are in strength and 2/3 are in armor. So the PTR now has the maths and the technology and the chat commands for us to pile in and test content at any level with any set of gear. Any full set of gear anyway. I imagine when this goes live, people will really tweak it. So you might have some light, some heavy, depending on specifically how you want to play with your build. But yeah, so this is all working, and that's all kind of complete and ready for testing. Now, the next thing I'm doing, as I showed earlier a little bit, or alluded to, is I'm putting NPCs back in the game. And once NPCs are back in the game, I'm going to release a PTR, and there's going to be another command that lets you summon monsters. And that monster will live for 5 minutes, but it'll allow you to summon a monster at any level you want. So you'll be able to go onto the PTR, go, I want to be level 50, I want the full tank gear, and I want to fight a level 70 monster. And you can do that, and with a couple of commands. Obviously, when I push this, I'll give a guide on how to do it. And it's my hope that through this process, and building this up in this way, instead of focusing on the details of like, right, I need to make all these individual items and I need to put them all in the database and yada yada, just pushing all of that aside and going, let's just get the maths working and let's give everybody the tools to play with the maths. I'm hoping we can find the fun, right? I talked about this on another stream, but this is the aim. To essentially just create a sandbox of maths and give you all the commands so you can be whatever level you want, whatever gear you want, fight whatever monsters you want, fight each other. And we can just create this feedback loop of you guys going in and seeing how it feels. Like, oh, I'm actually getting my ass kicked too hard. Oh, I'm a bit too tanky. When I'm level 30, I can kill level 70 mobs. That's clearly not good. And through that, because this is all still just core maths, I can really rapidly tweak the maths until the gameplay feels fun and feels balanced, and the gear feels fun and feels balanced. And then we know when we take a step forward from there that the foundation of this game is good. Yeah, and I mean, after the NPCs are in, and this is in, while you guys are playing with all of this, the next thing I'm going to be working on is the ability system from scratch. We're going to be working on the spells, and spells are going to be written in such a way now, this time, that NPCs and players use the same system. We're going to have buffs, debuffs, damage over time spells that affect weird stats, like agility. So maybe something slows you down. We want interrupts, cast bars. All this stuff will be going in while the game's still in this state. So you'll be able to really test everything, right? And we can try and find what's fun. Because I think at its core, Mirage is interesting because it's perched on the shoulders of giants. It's not interesting because it's a great game. It's interesting because it looks and feels and has the promise of being a game that we all want. I'm hoping through the PTR, by creating this sandbox and allowing you all to really easy test stuff, that together we can find the fun, basically. You know, summoning a monster that's too strong for you, that has really powerful spells, testing your different builds, testing your different spells. yeah, it should be fun. But that's the state we're in, and that's the direction that I'm taking. I anticipate pushing the PTR with NPCs, probably early next week. Masteries. Sorry, let me chat. I just need to read this message in chat because it seems important. So, Engineer Fetus says, "This sounds like when this releases, we will be 0 masteries. So only level will matter. So we're losing our time right now." No, that's actually not true. So when this does go live, your points that are in melee will be put to one side, and you'll be asked when you log in, would you like to put those points into sword, club, or axe, basically. Ranger, all of your distance stats will go into bull. Shaman and mage, your stats will go into the relevant magic trees. So shaman, your magic stats will go into nature, and mage, your magic stats will go into elemental. So none of your skills will have been in vain, and for everybody, your defense stats will go into shield. And I'll be looking into every class should have a build they can play where they wear a shield, because shields will have quite a lot of utility. So you might not be able to operate a bow with a shield, but you can throw shurikens and spears with a shield, right? And shamans can use a mace and a shield, right? Mages can just die because we hate them, but you get the way this is going anyway. Yeah, cool. I think that just about covers it. I probably missed a load of stuff out, but yeah, someone asked about slots. So there's a bunch more equipment slots coming. Rings will no longer be pieces of equipment that give you permanent stats. They'll instead be consumables. So rings will be things that last for, say, an hour, and you can equip a ring and you get whatever its buff is for 1 hour, and then the ring just poof disappears. So it might be that you have a ring that gives you, I don't know, some crazy mana regen, right? But it's a consumable ring, so it goes poof. Or you might have a ring that makes you makes your axe mastery +10 or something, you know, that kind of thing. Oh, talk about character speed. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned that. So you see my movement speed is 2.5 square meters a second here, and I'm level 10. This is actually a bit slower than it's going to be, but everybody's movement speed is going to be the same regardless of level. So if I go / level 200, so I'm now level 200, you see my movement speed hasn't changed. So everybody's base movement speed will be the same. It will be faster than this. So I'm currently as fast as, I think, a level 100 character in the game. I think you're going to be as fast as a level 150, basically. And instead of giving people speed bonuses for getting levels, one of the big things that people criticize when they start the game and then immediately quit is that their characters are really slow. So we're going to get rid of that. And instead, the way that you'll get speed is by enchanting your boots and by using spells that give you temporary speed buffs. it is... The aim is that you get to have twice as many spells equipped as you currently do. 3, like, call them rotation spells. So they're purely offensive spells. And 3 utility spells. And you'll have a little button to switch between which ones are showing on your screen at the moment. So speed would be a utility spell. Light would be a utility spell. Find where somebody is will be a utility spell. Yeah, you use a rope. A magic rope. That's a classic Tibia spell, right? That would be a utility spell. And your crafting spells will no longer be spells. So, rune crafting will be a profession that any class can learn if they want to. Arrow, same with fletching to make arrows. And anyone can learn that if they wish. And everybody will be able to learn all of the professions they want. So you'll be able to level up your rune crafting, you'll be able to level up your fletching, you'll be able to level up your blacksmithing, be able to level up whatever, right? And this will be the kind of horizontal gameplay. And yeah, runes should be easy to make in that case because everybody can make them. Exactly. So you could be on your... You could be... oh, that's something I haven't mentioned that I probably should mention because there might be people watching that don't know about it. So... The way that we're going, this is purely... I just made this decision based on playing Final Fantasy XIV. I was told afterwards that I think Rukoi does something similar, but I wasn't aware of that when I made the decision. I kind of deliberately don't play other mobile phone MMOs because I don't want to kind of have my ideas tainted by what other people are doing, which is a good idea and a bad idea. It's got its pros and cons, but this is just the way I'm doing it. But I do play big games, right? Like Final Fantasy XIV. I look to these games for inspiration, and something Final Fantasy XIV does that I really, really enjoyed, and I've spoken about it a bit before, is I'm the kind of person that really likes to invest all of myself into one character, but I'm also the kind of person that always thinks the grass looks greener. So I'll be level 20 on one class, and then I'll see someone else on another class who's level 20, and I'll think, oh man, I wish I was that class. But I won't then create another character to play that class, because I've got to start all over again, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just kind of be miserable and complain that I wish I was that other class, right? Well, something that Final Fantasy XIV allows you to do is independently level all of the classes on one character. So, and I actually really enjoy that, because I'd get bored on Final Fantasy XIV of whatever class I was playing, and I'd think, you know what, I'm going to chill out, and I'm going to go right back to level 1 on this character as a ranger. And I'd do that. So what you're going to be able to do, if you look here, there's a vocations tab, and you'll see that we have separate experience bars for each vocation. Is you'll be able to go to town and speak to a class trainer and swap. Yeah, so you'll be able to do that. Your masteries and professions will stay the same across. They are just your masteries and professions. Doesn't matter what class you're on. You level them up to whatever. They stay at level whatever. But you will be able to go into town and go, I want to swap from my level 200 knight to my level 1 mage, please. And I'm going to level up mage for a bit because I'm bored of knight. Class change is already doable. I just haven't put the command in. Yeah, I see this a lot, actually. People say, like, oh, why do I have to go to town to do this thing? And I think, well, I know that mindset comes from because currently in the game, if you go to town, that takes you right out of wherever you were, right, and what you were doing. But I've said it a lot before, and I'm going to say it again, just so people it's fresh in your minds. You're going to have scrolls of town portal that work just like Diablo. So you might be, I don't know, in a chaos zone somewhere, and you think, the party really needs a healer. Can someone switch to shaman? And Steve goes, yeah, I'll switch to shaman. So Steve just uses a town portal scroll. Poof, Steve's gone. Goes and changes, and then runs back to the temple, goes back through his own portal, and poof, he's back. So, yeah. That's how that's going to work. And the town portal scrolls will, the portals that you create will be, portals that you create will last forever. So you can use a town portal scroll to go back to town, and then you can log out and not log in for a month. And when you log back in, the portal that you left in the temple to go back to where you were will reappear when you log in, and then you can just go back to what you're doing. The portals won't be account or class dependent. Nope. And they'll be one of the few things that will be sold by NPCs, because it's a utility that I think will lend itself very well to a mobile game. People often want to go to the big exciting places, but they also, are on their phone, so they might need to log out quickly. And logging out somewhere safe, well, where's safer than town, right? So yeah, we're going to do that. The way it works in Diablo, and thus the way that I will do it, will be when you use a town portal scroll, you teleport to the temple, and inside the temple, you will see a little portal that is your portal, and only you will see that portal. It's just for you. No one else can see it or use it. That in Diablo, other people in the session can see it and use it. But in this case, only you will see it and use it. So it's just for you. It's a very personal thing. So you can go poof, back to town, run around town, do what you need to do, sell some stuff, repair your armor, whatever. And then you run back to the temple, and that one portal will be there. You go through the portal, and then it's consumed, and that portal is used. So you only ever have one portal active at a time, and that portal is left in whichever temple you town portal to. You see? Simple. And you'll always town portal to where your kind of home is. Okay, so chat's asking, after which update the new items are expected to arrive in the game? It's going to take a while. I don't want to deploy anything to the live game until the PTR has at least the same number of features that the live game has. And that's going to take a while because the PTR, Public Test Realm that stands for, by the way, has had almost everything ripped out. I mean, we're as I've been showing in the stream, we're playing with foundational maths of the core game at the moment, right? There's no such thing as monsters, items, spells, hotkeys don't exist. There are a lot of things about it that are better than live, but they're not fun things, unfortunately. So, if I was to deploy this live now, it would be suicide. So you'll have plenty of warning before this goes live. The big shift in objective here from... Whoa, sweaty boy, look at my shiny head. The big shift, it's this light, I think. It just kills me. The big shift in direction that has occurred as a result of me, quitting work on the first day, is that previously I didn't see a time when we could release the PTR, because I didn't want to release a PTR until like every feature was in. Now, what we're actually going to do is we're going to get the maths of the PTR done. We're going to get it feature complete as far as the live game goes. That includes things like the enchanters and things like that. They're all going to go back in the short term. And then we'll release it. And that includes like the random attributes dropping on gear. That's all going to go back in. And then what we'll do, once that's live, we can start chipping away at that. So you know, we can start introducing the first crafting systems. We can go, okay, so rune crafting is currently utility spells. We moved them into utility spells because we needed to put them somewhere in the short term. So there you go, you can make your runes. But we know that we want to make rune crafting a profession. Let's make fletching to create arrows and rune crafting the first two professions. And that can be an update that can roll out live. And then we start changing the PTR that way. So it's almost like double phased. We're bringing the PTR up to so it has parity with the live game in terms of features, even though we're still going to replace a bunch of those. And then we'll release it. And when I say parity, so it's the same. I won't be putting in anything that... I won't be hacking anything in to just get it out the door. All of these are going to be built so they're good. And I mean, this means, like, obviously, I mean, banks don't exist in the game anymore, right? Monsters don't, NPCs don't, banks don't. You can't trade with people. There's no trade system. So as each of these systems go back in to the PTR, real time and effort's going to be put into, like, how do we get these really good with what we've learned? So a good example that plays on my mind is... obviously putting money in banks, but the one that I always think about is how the current trade system is actually not very good, because you can't talk to people and you can't change your offers. So when I replace the trade system, which will hopefully be in the near future in PTR, those two things are quite important, right? I want you to be able to talk to the person you're trading with while you're trading. And I want you to be able to change your offer and see what they've offered. And then you can both accept at the same time. So that's what we'll do, because it's just going to be better. I won't just chuck the old trade system in just to get it out the door. Chat says, it's like you made another game, but on the same engine. Yeah. Although I've ripped out drastic parts of the engine as well, but yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, rat race until PTR will be playable. Hard to balance both. Yep, exactly. It's a difficult position to be in, because I have a live, from a financial perspective, I have a live service that is doing okay at the moment and people enjoy, but I have another version of it that has less than half the features that is 10 times better that I can't release because no one will play it because it doesn't have any features. And it's that balancing act of keeping everyone sweet on the live stuff, but catching up with the new stuff as quickly as possible, because once the new stuff can go live and is live and has all of the features that live has, every update from that point onwards is just on the new foundation. And it's like from that point we can really start moving forwards. And I feel like it's something I've been working towards for such a long time now. It started with me deciding that we were going open world. I think that's what started it. When I decided I'm not building a game in little boxes. If I'm building a game, I'm going to do it right. And then it's just kind of spiraled from there. Chat's saying, what engine is that? Oh, it's just my own engine. Keep server code in Java or change for something faster. So yeah, server performance is a bit of a problem on live at the moment once you get to about 700 plus players. That's because of the server's reliance on the database. The new version on the PTR has been re-engineered so it no longer has that reliance. So the performance bottlenecks that are on the live system are not present in the new stuff. It's a substantial re-architecture of the back end. The live game has a lot of in-frame reads and writes to the database. It relies on the database very heavily for its state all of the time. So what you find is once you reach a certain number of players, the I/O wait time on database interaction stacks up enough that it stalls the frames basically. But that won't be a thing anymore in the PTR. We'll have some other bottleneck, absolutely, but the database bottleneck is removed entirely. Yes, exactly. So it means we can do cool things like really increase the bank size, and you can do trades that are just disgustingly enormous and all this kind of stuff because it doesn't have to talk to the database. And things like that. We can come to things like that. You know, they're nice to haves. They're problems that are engineered out of. Right, so I'm at risk here of boring everyone to death, so I just want to promote, in case you guys haven't seen, I don't know how often you guys look at the website, but I think probably everybody has seen it before, but basically at the last weekend, that's English, last weekend, we released the Mirage Wiki, the official Mirage Wiki, no less, which is a full catalogue of all of the stuff that's in the game. You've got all the items, all the monsters, all the shopkeepers, all the everything. And there's still stuff to fill out, but all the core stuff is in there. And it's a really, really great resource for finding out where to go next or what to do next. So for example, this monster list, let's say I am a mage and I'm level 30 and I really want to know where I can get my new boots. You can now come on here, go to the equipment section, click on booties, go to light boots, find the level requirement 30 boots, which are the sulfur shoes. I can click on them, takes me to a page, gives me all of their possible stats everywhere, all the information about them I could ever want, as well as what they're dropped by. So I can see that these boots are dropped by imp rangers, and if I don't know anything about imp rangers, I can click on the imp ranger and it will tell me where imp rangers live. It unfortunately doesn't show you a map at this time, but you know, we'll get there. There are certain creatures that it does show you. So if I go to enchanters, this was something that we thought would be really important because people always want to know where the enchanters are. So go to Harvey. I want to physical resist enchant my armor, and you can see here's his information. Here's the enchants that he serves, and we get these great little screenshots that show us exactly where he is. So Harvey's in the duck on the map, the little duck ship. Just remember the duck. That's where Harvey is. Yeah, and I think this is great because now we can. When I've played the game, I often found myself thinking, okay, I'm level 40. I can't remember what the level 40 equipment is, or where to get it from. I really want to farm for some new gloves or something, but I don't know where to go or what to do. This kind of alleviates that. And I think that's really important, which is great. So yeah, if you know, as you play through the game and try and figure out what your next objectives are, use the new official wiki. It's miragerealms.co.uk/wiki. And a small handful of the community were involved in putting this together. I worked pretty solid on it for a couple of days, but there was absolutely no way we could throw this together in, like, I think it was like 3 days or something. The vast majority of this just appeared from nothing, which is insane. If you go through and think about how much content there is, it's crazy. So yeah, massive thanks to everyone that piled in there. I get the feeling some of the community, some of you guys have been waiting for an opportunity to really actually like help, and you saw this as your chance, and you really helped. We created a lot of people are using this. The traffic stats for the wiki is insane, actually. A lot of people are going through the wiki. So this is a resource that's being seen by literally like thousands and thousands of people every day. So the wiki is a massive success. Big round of applause for everyone involved. Live the dream. Chat's saying we're going to translate the wiki. No. Mostly because, you know, there are browser add-ons that allow you to translate any page. So just use one of them. Would be my suggestion. Whoops. The current live translations list you can see here. So these are the languages that the game client is currently translated to a decent level in. If there's a language you would really like to see included in the localization of the client, of the PTR client, before it goes live, if you hop onto Discord, you'll see there is like a section for the public test realm, and there's a bunch of channels in there, and I think one of them's called Translation. Let me just check. Yeah, it's called Translation. So you can just hop into the translation chat, and there's some guys in there that are really experienced now with the translation stuff. And if you have any questions about how to actually get involved with doing a translation, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer you. It's a lot of work. There's actually, I mean, when I was doing the outfits, or even when we were doing the wiki and going through all of the items and the monsters and then the outfits and that, you know, every aspect of this game is huge in terms of just the amount of like data that has accumulated throughout it being built. I think because the game seems so basic and cutesy, it feels like really small. But, you know, I mean, we have like thousands of items, and there's like hundreds of monsters, and in the client itself there are hundreds and hundreds of phrases to translate if you want to provide a translation. So it's not something to take on lighthearted. If you would like to provide a translation, just keep that in mind. It is hours and hours of work. So yeah, if don't burn yourself out doing something like that if your heart's not in it, because I think we had a Russian translation where the guy got about a third of the way through and was just like, fuck it, and submitted it. But then we couldn't use the translation because he hadn't translated everything in order, so we ended up having to scrap it. So just be sensible with where you spend your time. Oh yeah, last thing. Not sure if anyone's aware, but the wiki is now linked on the in the social bar on the homepage. And I think that's about it. I think I've gone over everything I wanted to go over. We talked about me quitting my job on the first day. That's fun. We've had a glass of wine. We've had some cheese. We've talked about all of the new stat stuff and the sandbox that we're going to play in with the new commands to set your level and the type of equipment you're using. Yeah, I think everyone's up to date. Thanks, everyone. I just wanted to pop on and touch base with you all because I wasn't sure. I've been so busy and so stressed with just being alive. I've kind of lost track of what I've communicated, what I haven't communicated, like what you guys know is happening, etc., etc. So I thought it would be a good idea just to pop on here and go over it all for you. We got a couple of things. What about the prizes for the cosmetic contest winners? Yeah, so the cosmetic contest prize is going to be a paintbrush on the back, and I'm going to try and hack that. Well, I'm not going to try to. I'm going to hack that into the live game for the next update, so that I can just set a flag on your account, and all your characters will have access to it. Then it's just a case of going through and tracking everybody down, so that I can give them that privilege. Will there be full armor bonuses for only wearing one type of armor, like extra defense when wearing full, heavy, or something like that? Set bonuses is something that I would like, and we'll discuss that. We'll burn that bridge when we cross it, right? Yeah, that's another layer of maths, really. I'm learning games are just maths. So set bonuses are something I would like, for sure. But we need to do them cleverly. We can't just... Cleverly? Intelligently. We can't just pile in there and now's the wrong time to be thinking about that. Step 1, players with no abilities, monsters with no abilities, if they hit each other, does it feel balanced if they're at the right level? Does the difference between light, medium, and heavy gear feel impactful? Yeah, those are the questions we're asking, and those are the things we're going to get right before we move forwards. Because if the itemization is good, and the automatic scaling is good, we're living the dream. That is a position where you can build a game, right? I've got a couple of questions. So why did a bunch of orcs get beams? Basically they were too easy. That's about it. I don't know if you guys had noticed, but you know, a lot of level 20s were hunting orcs, which is absurd. So now they're not, or they are, but they're dying a lot, which is good. And why did they get weak to ice instead of fire? Because ice had no real use at that stage of the game. Ice fell off, and I wanted to make ice a desirable weapon enchant for players of that level, basically. Ice had use in both Abyss and Shambler already. Yep, Abyss is quite early on in the game now for most people, and Shamblers are really only hunted by mages. So yeah, it had a little bit of utility, but not really. Cool. On that note, everybody, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying Mirage is now balanced and rewarding because I made orcs more likely to one-shot you, right? Not at all. Orcs have always been in a weird place. But now, if you're, new players can't just rush to orcs and essentially have zero danger, right? They can rush to orcs and risk getting obliterated every second they're there, which I think was more important than orcs being in balance with heroes and stuff like that. Because orcs are very accessible. Heroes and stuff, less so. You've actually got to be a supporter and all of that. Which not a drastic amount of people bother with, especially at low level. So just dissuading people from skipping, the vast majority of the game was the real thing there. But it's not ideal. Yeah, it's not ideal. And yeah, there's always going to be an enchant that isn't useful in any high level zone, really. It was always going to happen. But people farm... So people farm ice slimes like I breathe oxygen. There are way, way, way more ice materials floating around than there are fire materials. Way, 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 way more. So it doesn't hurt the game that a whole bunch of those get consumed, right? That's not going to do any harm. Because I can't take them off of people. You guys get really angry when I just take stuff off of you. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to have another glass of wine and actually... eat some of my brie, cheese and crackers. Should be nice. Yeah, and as well, like, people might go check out Shamblers now, which is cool. But yeah, it's been good. I think I got all the information across. Bit rambling. This wasn't very structured. I can appreciate that. When we start doing the sprints again and sprint reviews, it'll come back to having structure and having the presentations that you all know and love. Yeah. So, yeah, TLDR. Got to get NPCs onto the PTR so I can release that. And have to get paintbrushes and arenas onto live. I think both of those should happen next week. Yeah, lots to do. And it's now essentially just a race between getting the PTR live and me starving to death. So, game on. All that said, yeah, it's been really great. The response from the community over the last 3 weeks has been really, really, really positive, which is awesome. Chat saying, why do I sound so down? I'm just incredibly stressed, I guess. I'm actually pretty cheerful. I just feel like my heart could explode. So, that's probably why I sound the way I do. But yeah, community's been really good the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. The response has been really positive. We've broken the record player numbers. All this good stuff's happening. So, all these positive signs that if game made more betterer, money more biggerer, right? So all the signs are there. It's whether this works or not is just down to whether I can pull my finger out and build shit quick enough. So, yeah, we shall see. Anyway, cheers everyone, and thanks for taking time out of your day to come and listen and watch and be part of this small game, right? This tiny little speck of a game that some of you hold so dear, and it's amazing, really, to me that I've kind of conjured this thing out of thin air, and yeah, that you guys dig it. That's really cool. Even if you hate the updates sometimes and stuff breaks and stuff isn't balanced and I make bad decisions, it's still all cool. How cool is that? I'm not a giant corporation just trying to steal all your money. I'm a human being, and this is a very human. I feel like this whole development process has been a very human experience, with its ups and downs, you know. But it's great. Not many people can say they get to wake up in the morning, make a cup of tea, sit down, and work on their indie MMO that has a community of 25,000 people. Not many people can say that. It's pretty good. Yes, it's like Tibia. We hate it, but we keep playing. I feel that's like a personal attack on multiple levels. I know exactly what you mean. Right, all the best, everyone. I'll see you online. Love you all. Bye, 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 bye. Well, I take that back. Not all of you, but I love some of you. Bye, 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 bye.